Hi, I'm Angie Armour, and I'm the chair of the 50th Anniversary of Women in St. Michael's Committee. Over the past 2 years, we've honored the women of St. Michael's, including our first 26 female students who arrived in the fall of 1970, and this year, our first female graduates from the class of 1972, and all of the women who have helped shape the college into what it is today. Many of us had a mentor on campus, whether it was a professor, a coach, or an advisor. The women in this video have influenced thousands of Purple Knights over many decades and had an enormous impact on the college. This video pays tribute to all of the women of St. Michael's, the names you know and the names you don't know, the people you think of when you think of St. Mike's, and all of the unsung heroes who do well and do good on this campus each and every day. Thank you to our first female students who paved the way for so many to follow, and our first alumni who became pioneers in their fields. Thank you to the first female professors and staff members who guided us, taught us, and nurtured us. Happy 50th anniversary to all of the women who have called St. Michael's home. During the 1970-71 academic year, 26 women arrived at St. Michael's as the first cohort of co-ed students at the previously all-male institution. In just 2 years, the number of female students jumped 900% and now account for more than half of the student body. The integration of women into campus life didn't come without a few bumps in the road, however. Luckily, there are women at St. Michael's who weren't afraid to blaze the trail for countless others who followed. Jackie Murphy, class of 1974 and longtime director of admissions, was one of those trailblazers. Jackie arrived on campus as a junior transfer student from an all-women's school in Chicopee, Massachusetts. A fixture on campus for decades, she admits those first years as a student weren't easy.
I'm not going to lie, it was a challenge. I think faculty, let me preface it by saying I do believe, knowing what I know now, the decision to become a co-ed institution was absolutely critical to St. Michael's College. It was and it was happening at many institutions at the time. I mean, you have to think back. At the time, women were not generally encouraged to go on to higher ed in large numbers, and so there were a lot more options. Schools that had been all male and were now kind of struggling, I think, with enrollments, and saw going co-ed as saying, hey, that's like 50% of the population that we haven't attracted. So, but I think that the decision to become co-ed was not universally accepted by some of the faculty and staff here. There were classes, I do have an anecdote, and sometimes I wonder, am I remembering this correctly? I was in a class with an Edmondite teacher, and he called everyone by Mr. and their last name, including me. And I was the only woman in the class, so I was like, that just didn't feel that welcoming to me. And but I survived. I think that adversity, it just created a sense of resilience, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. Yeah. So, I did it.
Buff Lindau served in countless roles at St. Michael's, from teaching freshman English to leading the marketing and communications department. A public relations guru known to media outlets across the Northeast, the published author says one of her proudest moments was co-organizing a 3-day Women in Society conference in the spring of 1979 with friend and longtime English professor Carrie Kaplan.
It was like one of the earliest academic symposiums on women's studies. So there were 3 days worth of what they call academic panels, like 3 or 4 speakers per panel, filled up 3 days. We were all over the campus in different locations. It was very popular. There's a photograph of people sort of peeking in the windows when a classroom was too full already. Joanne Rathgap, who was in fact a wonderful teacher and an actress and founder with her husband of the Playhouse, she put on a one-woman show called The Belle of Amherst, and she was Emily Dickinson in that play. And there was a dance troupe, and Liza Alther was a famously new author at the time. She gave a reading. So it was just a sort of an amazing event to launch, and there was a lot of support from the president at the time, Ed Henry. As you know, we had been an all-male school, and it wasn't that far into the coeducational period of the college, so you have to credit him with being a big support. And then a lot of other people on campus did rise to the occasion. Students liked being work studies or just extra volunteers, and so there were many parts to it. In fact, we put out a book at the end called The Proceedings of the Women in Society Symposium, which is in the library. I think it was very important because it was such a big statement and you couldn't really argue with it. You know, if you didn't like the fact that women's studies was a new academic notion, you couldn't really argue with it when all these women academics came from all over the country to give papers, and it kind of set a tone. I mean, I couldn't really document that, but I have a feeling it set a tone of acceptance of women's studies as a serious academic arena.
Psychology professor Sue Kuntz and student activities director Jenny Cernozia not only found 30-year careers at St. Michael's, they found best friends and support systems in each other. Now retired, they made an indelible impression on thousands of people on campus for over 3 decades, and numerous alumni call them incredible mentors and lifelong friends.
Well, the one thing I always jump to is I was close in age to a number of folks early on. So we gravitated not only as an employee and a student, but in a more friendship relationship in a lot of ways until I got maybe 10 years or 12 years into the position. But the mentorship that I thought I offered the younger group initially was starting the child care center here. Mm-hmm. And then when I became a parent, it was a matter of managing parenthood and full-time job, which had an excessive amount of not 9 to 5 hours. I mean, it was nights, it was weekends, it was phone calls, it was managing all of that and still trying to, be a great mom and a great employee for St. Michael's College. And again, I think both the young women and the young men responded to that.
I mean, when I first walked on this campus, it was all male, and there were a few from Fannie Allen nurses that took classes once in a while, you know. And now when you walk across campus, there's more females than there are males, and as you point out, they're in lots of different positions. And in the faculty, there are more female faculty members than there are male, which is never would have happened before. And the conversations are just different now. And you look at the textbooks that are read in classes, and they're people make a conscious effort to have as many female writers as they do male writers in classrooms now and stuff like that. So, but you have to be open to that, both as a faculty member and as a student here. And I think that was always the hardest thing for me to develop, but also for me to get my students to develop, like, okay, you have a set mark, you know where you want to go, but be open to what else is out there and possibilities that are there. And St. Mike's has always been good with that so far, anyway, so that's good.
50 years, the institution has changed so much. I mean, physically, we've grown so much, but I think of the campus that was here, we don't remotely resemble that. But I think having the addition of women on campus was critical to becoming who we are today. And it will continue to be critical that we recruit, men and women who are interested in having a strong liberal arts education. I think if anything, COVID has maybe shown us that while learning remotely can work for some people, there's so much more value in the residential, the total college experience that we hope that we can bring more students to that place where they understand that it's not just what you're getting in the classroom, it's the total experience, which I know has become unaffordable for many, but I'm also hoping that this COVID will help the nation to figure out that this is a critical investment in our future, and that we continue to understand how important just a broad-based education is to understanding and supporting humanity. I'm hoping we can take those lessons and move forward and thrive. I guess that's it.
Women at St. Michael's have certainly thrived over the past 50 years. We are doctors, nurses and scientists, attorneys and actresses, lawyers and judges, engineers and corporate executives. We're educators, Peace Corps volunteers, athletes, community activists, and world-renowned authors, just to name a few. Thousands of our alumni have gone out into the world to fulfill the vision of St. Michael's, do well and do good. And for nearly 4 years, we've had a one-of-a-kind woman on campus, the first to lead St. Michael's College as president. Dr. Lorraine Stair is laying a strong foundation for the next half-century of women on campus, and inspiring students, staff, faculty, and alumni alike with her strong will and clear vision.
What a joy it has been to celebrate 50 years of women at St. Michael's College. Those who arrived on campus in the fall of 1970 were trailblazers indeed. They faced adversity in many forms, but they persevered, and in doing so, they inspired generations of Purple Knights who came after them. We stand on their shoulders. It has been a privilege to know and work with so many of these wonderful women, and I thank Jackie, Buff, Sue, and Jenny for sharing their stories with us. They have touched countless lives, served as teachers and mentors, and befriended thousands. How lucky we are to have such women in our lives. Please be sure to visit the Alumni Profile section of our website to be inspired or to share your own story. Imagine what stories St. Michael's women will write in the next 50 years. Congratulations, and onward we go.